Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Dale Beaumont and welcome to Secrets Exposed. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to make a fortune by importing and selling products from China. That coming up in just a moment. Hello and welcome back. We're about to get started with our interview all about how to make a fortune by importing and selling products from China. We have a special guest right over here. His name is Brendan Elias. He's from China Import Formula, and he's been importing and selling products from China for the best part of 15 years. And we're going to spend about 45 minutes together, which means we can really dive deep into this subject and we can give you a roadmap about how you can use this strategy in your business. So let's get into it. Brendan, thanks for joining us.
Excited to be here.
All right. Now, let's set the scene on who this interview is for. There are people watching that already have an existing business and might be thinking, well, I've already got a business. I'm not necessarily interested in importing products from China. They might think it's just for people that are starting a business, but who's it actually for?
So it's primarily for people who are already in business. If you are already in a business, the first thing you should be thinking about is what products could I possibly import from China. Right? If you don't have a business yet and you're looking to get started, look, it's well and good. You can start importing from China. It's a great business to get into. But if you already have a business like a wholesale store or a retail store, or you're already selling something right already to your customers, then the first thing you want to do is think about, well, how do I avoid paying the middleman? How do I cut out the middleman and just get all the margin by going directly from China and bring in? And if you're not selling something, well, what could you sell? You need to just bring that in and bring something in and start making some money.
Okay, we'll come up with some ideas in just a sec, but how did you get started? I'm keen to know. 15 years ago, you decided, I'm going to start importing some products from China. What have you imported, and what's been your journey?
Well, I just first started just playing around on eBay as a 21-year-old kid, just mucking around. First thing I ever bought on eBay was some DVDs, some Monkey Magic DVDs. It was a cult TV show I absolutely loved. And then I was thinking, well, I paid money to someone. What if I could actually have it come the other way, and bring in some items myself? So I went to China and I found some items to bring in. First thing I brought in were DVD players. Right. Today we have, we're Blu-ray players, and the next thing will come out, the next thing come out. But the first thing I brought in were DVD players. I bought them from China and I sold them. Then I remember I was always thinking, well, what else could I bring in? And a few days after that, I got pulled over by the police, who were checking to see whether I had consumed too much alcohol, and they used a breath tester. And I was thinking, thank you, to the police officer for pulling me over, because you just gave me a great idea. So I started importing alcoholic breath testers from China and selling them online, selling them on eBay, and that went fantastic. And then I started bringing in pedometers so people could measure how many steps they took and how many calories they burned. But the coolest thing I bought hundreds of products, and you always got to bring in the next thing. The coolest thing I brought were these motorcycles, right? The little pocket bikes, they were 49cc. You're just like this far off. It's like a lawnmower engine on a motorcycle. And I brought in thousands of them, like absolutely just container and container. We're selling 35 a day or 1,000 a month. And I put my own brand name Samurai on it, right? And then would sell them online as well. And that was probably, the items made millions. So.
Wow,
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now you've also done it obviously successfully yourself, but you now have helped thousands of students now around the world, including Australia, New Zealand, and I know you've got a lot of students in America now as well, and from Europe. What else have you seen students do? I'm guessing it's limitless, but give us a few kind of ideas.
Okay, so many different products. So I have one student who does something as simply as the buckets for earth moving equipment, right? So he's got whatever it is that digs the ground. He will give you the bucket that does that, and it wears out. He'll supply the next one as well. I have some students who will retrofit LED lights, so they'll go to a building or a government building that has all the old lights that are using up too much power. They'll give them a plan, and then they'll import the lights directly from China and retrofit and charge them a fee based on the energy saving and the energy consumption. I have other students who are doing pet products, and they bring in, for example, we're in Australia. That's my home country. There's a place called Queensland where it's hot and there's a lot of snakes. They bring in the electric snake repellers, right? So it takes the solar energy from the sun and sends out a pulse which scares away the snakes and all the critters, right? So that's another product they're bringing in. I have other students who are really into fitness, and they're bringing in stand-up paddle boards. And then I have some students who are in the building industry, and instead of paying for their own building materials from places like, if you're in the US, you've got your Home Depot, you've got the warehouse in New Zealand, you've got Bunnings here in Australia. And if you've got, that, why pay them when you can go directly in China? And if you're building 10, 20, 30, 40 units, you can bring in building materials. And one thing, I've got a customer of mine in Adelaide who, did all of his 30 house development. We imported the tiles directly from China and did that. And I have other students who are just, building houses and housing developments who, just go directly from China.
Okay, so obviously if someone's watching this that has an existing products-based business, and if they're not already sourcing their products from China directly, they might be buying it from another wholesaler here, but they can go direct and cut out the middleman, save some money. Or if they're currently getting it made here, they could do some price comparisons about getting it manufactured in China. And but what about even if you're running a service-based business? Like if someone's watching this and they say a physiotherapist and they're currently thinking, well, I'm a service-based business, how could I use this strategy as well?
Well, if you're serving customers or clients, if it's a service-based business and they're coming to your business every day, then they're paying you money to solve a solution. And sometimes services can can give a solution or solve a problem. Sometimes products can as well. So if they're your captive audience, they're coming to you every day, then you can sell them things as well. So you gave the example of a physiotherapist or even a chiropractor. Well, you could sell, rollers, right, which they use to stretch out their muscles after they've done that. You can sell them back massages. Right?
Elastics for exercises, recovery.
Right, exactly. And even, I went to the chiropractor and he gave me an ice pack, right, to make sure that a muscle's healed okay. And that was it. So you can import that directly from China. And look, say it doesn't even matter if you're an accountant, for example. Well, you've got a book of clients. Well, it's going to be every client's birthday one day a year. So you can have a gift item which you import with your company's brand name on it, or what we call premium items where you put your own logo on something and send that directly to a customer to build your brand.
And then you've got all the promotional items, right? Like hats and bags and other things as well.
Correct. Yeah, and you can just bring that in and sell. And also think about ways that you can actually get more customers. And could you import something from China to generate leads for your business as well? The list just is endless.
Now we're going to go through the strategies, and people may be wondering, will it work in my particular country? If someone's watching this from South Africa or from Singapore or from maybe they're in Germany, for example, do the same principles apply when you're importing products from China?
It works for absolutely every country in the world except one, and that is China, right? Because you can't import products from China for China, just doing that. So it works everywhere. And I've got students who import from, in the US, Germany, UK, Australia, New Zealand. And the principles are 99.9% the same. The only 0.1% difference is the local laws and customs rules, right? Because it's always going to be, you have to get a good quality product, right? That people want from China, and make sure that you've done your quality control and you get the right price.
Yes.
And there are two prices. You've got the Western price, but there's a Chinese price. You want to try and get your hands on the Chinese price.
We're going to talk more about that.
Yep. And you get the right price, the right product, and you can ship it anywhere. And it just doesn't matter where you are in the world, as long as you follow the principles. It could be great. If you could do really well in the US, and then cross the ditch and sell in Australia, or you could do well in Australia and then start selling in New Zealand. Once you've got the products, you can start expanding into other markets. But fish at your feet. Start with what you know, and then expand later to other markets.
Okay. Now, some people may be wondering, do I have to go to China in order to import products? Can I do it without going?
Okay, I can tell you with 110% certainty, you absolutely do not have to go to China to start importing from China. All right, the way, if it was back 20 years ago, before the internet was there, I wouldn't be able to say what I just said. However, you don't have to go to China. Yeah? Even I remember my dad in the 80s was using a fax machine, right, to send, because my dad was an importer, that's how I learned the business. He would send faxes to China and then get his orders, and today you just send an email. So you go on Alibaba, Global Source, Made in China. We'll talk about some of those sites a bit later. But the cool thing is that you don't have to leave your home as long as you have the three magical things. You don't need to write it down. You know it. You need a laptop.
Got that? Yeah.
A mobile phone.
Yep.
And a good internet connection.
Yes.
You're an importer. Well done. Welcome to the family.
Okay. You don't need to register, or you don't need to kind of get any skills or qualifications.
No.
Probably learn a few things, but that's about it.
Now, even though I said that you don't have to go to China, you actually might consider going. And in fact, as an importer, as a more mature importer, you should go to China, right? And that's not today, not tomorrow, but that's when you've built your business up and you've got enough products that now justifies going to a place like the Canton Fair.
And what's it like when you go there? Just describe it to us.
It's like Disneyland for adults, right? It's just absolutely incredible. Imagine this, right? Imagine a football field full with products.
Yep.
Okay. Well, each hall at the Canton Fair, right? And it's held twice a year in April and October. That never changes, right? Each hall is the size of 4 football fields.
Each hall, okay, got it.
And each hall will have like 1,000 suppliers with 100 different products. You're talking 100,000.
And how many halls
products.
are there?
At the last Canton Fair, Dale, there were 23 halls filled with products. The problem is the problem is not what to import from China. When you go there, Dale, it's what not to import from China because you just have so many choices. You know, it's incredible, absolutely incredible.
So there's no excuses, after that. What could I do? Yeah. You'll be saying, which do I do first?
Yeah, exactly, and it's held over 3 phases, each with 23 different halls, and it's twice a year. So it just boggles the mind. It's just absolute swimming in products.
All right, so let's bring it back to before we talk websites and before we talk about finding manufacturers. What is the first step that someone should be thinking about when it comes to importing products from China before we kind of get into doing the work?
Okay, the very first step is that you have to actually decide what it is you're going to import. Okay, and that's the key, right? And there are 2 ways of going. You can look at what's making money and what the market needs, and that's great. But often when I'm working with my students, I tell them to find out what you're passionate about, what it is you're excited about, what gets you up in the morning, and what you look forward to on the weekends.
And why is that?
Because look, if you're in the reason why a lot of my students come on board or they work with us at China Import Formula is they don't like their jobs. They don't like working 9 to 5. They don't like having to answer to a boss who they don't like, right? Or they don't want to work in a job. They want to do something they enjoy, right? So if you start moving from a job you don't like into import products you don't enjoy, then it's just really a job substitute, right? But if you can import something that you absolutely adore, absolutely love, it becomes fun.
And I'm guessing you're going to know the kind of the networks and the marketing opportunities. You might already be participate in certain Facebook groups or those type of forums. I
mean, I have some students who love animals, right? And they were doing baby clothes. I said, "You crazy?" There were 18, 19-year-old males who thought they should get into the baby clothing business, and they weren't the least bit interested, right, in having kids at that point in time. Maybe 10 years later, 20 years later, different story. But at that point in time, that was not the right product. But they loved animals, so they started their company, right, and started importing pet products directly from China. So find out what it is you love, right? In saying this, if you're passionate about money, and that's all you care about, and you can find a product that makes money, well, power to you, right? But find out what you enjoy, find out what you love, and if you can find a product that matches, then not only will you deal with products that you love, and let's face it, if you love it, you're probably an expert in it anyway, right? But you get to deal with like-minded people. Your customers will become your friends because they if you're into fishing and you're selling fishing gear, well, the people who buy from you are fishermen.
You pretty much answered the question, but because I'm guessing you get asked this question dozens of times a day. What are the hottest products to actually to import? What is your answer to that?
The answer is that is the wrong question. The question is not what the hottest product is, because that product's always going to change. The Slinky was the coolest thing one day, and now the Slinky
now
is
it's
the type
filling up water balloons. That one device that fills up 50 water balloons.
Exactly, and the thing is, if you're focused on with a single hottest product, what's going to happen in a year, 2 years, 3 years? That product is no longer going to be the hottest product. It's going to be obsolete, and then you're stuck without a business. So the right question is, what is the right niche of products? What is the right category? Or
tell me about this idea about having a niche, and what is it all about?
Yeah, so a niche or a niche for our American viewers is really a category of products. That is that you get into, and you want to make sure that you have a range, right? And there are 2 rules when you find your niche or your niche. The first thing is it must be 1/4 inch wide, right? And the second rule, it must be 8 miles deep. So what I mean by that, 1/4 inch wide means it needs to be.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.